This is Councillor Hazel Dawkins from Chelmsford Wood Town Council here in Solihull in the West Midlands. I'd like to welcome everybody really to the It's Up to Us rally on behalf of Labour Nexus, and I'd love to thank the organisers for inviting myself today to speak. It's an absolute privilege, so thank you very much indeed. And I'd hope to bring today something where we can all be collate ideas really, and to bring policy to ourselves locally, nationally, and even just in our own campaigns, in which way it would be. So let's give us a backstory as to who I am. So I am 27 years of age. I have 2 children of my own who are my absolute inspiration for everything that I have done and will continue to do. So my story really is how I joined the Labour Party. So each and every one of us individually will have our own inspirations, and it could be anything. It might not be something like mine that I'm about to speak about, but it might be something that means a lot to yourself, and hopefully it opens up that talk. I'd love to hear more from everybody else really. Like, you are more than welcome at any time. I'll pass my details on to the organisers, or you can inbox me on my page if you ever want to have a chat any time in regards to anything Labour Party related or council related or campaigns. So yeah, mine's in terms of the National Health Service as to why I joined the Labour Party. Always been a supporter prior. I have been a Labour Party member now since January 2015, so over 6 years. And in that time, I have taken on roles locally, such as youth officer. I've taken on roles, for example, such as branch secretary. I'm now branch chair, and I'm also the West Midlands coordinator for the Junior Society of Labour Lawyers. And that was a role that was not long created, so not long after I joined, which is absolutely brilliant, to be able to bring other people together to create ideas and shape policy. So that's what I've been doing on a local party level. And for parish council, as I say, I have been elected now for 4 years, and it's, as I say, it's an absolute privilege to have done so. Really, in terms of my campaigns, so my campaigns do vary. So for example, there was locally here, in terms of Solihull, it's a Tory-run council, and their tendering process was an absolute disgrace. So services that should not have been cut were cut. And if I give you a really good example of that story, and that was a gentleman with cerebral palsy. He wanted to speak against this local service that was being cut. He had a story to tell, and it was such a heartbreaking story in the sense, and heartwarming as well, but heartbreaking that this service was going to be cut, and it was absolutely vital. Now, this gentleman regarded this service as his lifeline. They weren't just doing their jobs, they were family. And when he told his story, the councillors weren't aware of this. They didn't know how much it meant. But yet the funding was taken away. And that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable either for example, as well, holiday hunger. Children should not be going hungry in the holidays. It's an absolute disgrace that our NHS workers are undervalued and not being paid enough. The public sector isn't being paid enough either. We devalue those that do such a great job for our services, and it's about time that we had a Labour government to overthrow that and to actually show real change. I mean, in terms of the National Health Service, that saved my daughter. My daughter was born prematurely. She has a disability, but that doesn't define her. And she has been my inspiration for everything that I've done, like one of the things I've ever done, and so has my son. But people told me when she was born, well, they made mistakes, Hazel. Why wouldn't you sue the NHS? And this was prior to me joining. And the more that I read on these cuts, the more that I read, and the more that I chose to decide, I need to do something proactively in the positive way to show my children really resilience, that no matter what goes through, that we have to show positive change to be able to get real change. And in terms of, what we see, it's just more has to be done. More has to be done. And each and every one of you have your stories of your own. Luckily, my daughter is doing really well. So is my son. But they are being brought up in austerity. There has been austerity cuts. In terms of, for example, Sure Start centres. Now, those were closed down in this area in 2014. And they were closed down just a couple of weeks after my daughter was born. So at the time that I needed a service the most, the service weren't there. And I remember the day when I knocked on that office door and I said, well, my daughter's been born prematurely. I need help, I need support. I was 20 years old at the time. And they would say, well, sorry, but the service has been cut. There's nothing we can do about it. And that was it. The door slammed on my face. And, it took a very long time to find anything other than alternative. And when I did find that alternative, it wasn't local. It was out in outer Birmingham. Now, I'm happy to travel to other areas, but we should be having things locally. Sure Start should not have been closed just because of government ideology and austerity. That is unacceptable. It is not an excuse for the most deprived areas to take away the services that is vital to the everyday need. Now, when we talk about food bank usage, we talk about holiday hunger. In the most deprived areas of Solihull, people have come together on a community spirit basis. You will see, let's suggest pre-COVID for a moment, they would come out in droves and people in community. People who probably wouldn't ordinarily vote, but they could see that there were councillors there who loved their community, wanted to be part of the community, not just for photo opportunities, but to actually show real change and to go out there and just simply do a litter pick, to simply put forward together plans, to talk to the council and to say that is not acceptable, that we are having these changes happening to our local shopping centre, for example, but you're not giving a service that is needed for the community. So it's been done here locally, but more needs to be done locally. More money needs to be invested. And the only way more money is going to be invested with a Labour government. Now, we always hear it time and time again. I don't need to repeat exactly everything that the Tory government have done to us. I don't need to repeat about the impact it's made on us, but it's impacting us in every way, shape or form. And when I've seen this in the Labour Party, it is the one thing that I do look forward with this launch with Labour Nexus is they'd say that they are a non-factional part to the party. And you know what? That's what it's all about. Labour members coming together. It's up to us. It's to come together and to give our ideas that will shape our policies, give our experience, motivate the young people, the people that, the councillors, for example, let's give a statistic for a moment. Parish councillors are underrepresented, and we need to change that. If you feel today that actually, you are interested in becoming a councillor, for example, do it. I became a parish councillor at the age of 23. Now, I'd love to see more young people do that. I do. I've seen up and down the country there are Labour members who are young councillors, but we need them to be represented more. We need young people represented on the council. And we don't just need young people either. We need a diverse range of councillors. And I don't need to spell it out for that. But if you are interested, do talk to somebody who is already a councillor. Find out what it is like. It's never easy. But we can only make the change if people from the ground come together to do that, and we see more campaigners, people who want change in the local area, becoming councillors, because we can say what it's really like, and it's up to Labour members as well to end factional arguments. I'm not a part of Momentum, Progress, Labour First, for example. I'm not. I am a Labour Party member first and foremost, through and through. I didn't join the party to then join other different factions of the party, because that's not what it's about. I will work with anybody and everybody within the party. We all have our disagreements. Of course we do. Our ideas, nobody's going to have the same exact idea. But if we come together, we can shape a policy that matters most to the people. And that's what I want to say today. If you want, for example, NAUC is the National Association of Local Councils. They released a statistic 4 years ago that, 3 years ago, that really showed actually nothing was being done in terms of the diverse range. Only 11% of councillors are under 40, for example. Even more so, when it comes to the gender balance. But that has to change. We need more representation and more people coming together for community and to talk about what matters most in their community and have that talk. And to end factional disagreement, that is the most important key. It's about uniting, and it's not just about uniting by saying, well, this person's wrong, that person's wrong. It's about listening to others and encouraging people. Now, my local CLP, for example, are fantastic. When I joined the party, I had come out of a domestic abusive relationship. I was very shy, I was very quiet, I'm not who I am today. But with the fact that my CLP helped me, guided me, supported me through various different roles I have done, I'm able to I could give that advice to somebody else today, and to be able to give that important value of feeling like, well, your voice is being heard, you are listened to, you are very important. What you've got to say is important, and to make that change. So I'd love to hear more from yourselves. Please do get in touch if you want to, if you are inspired in any way, shape or form. And even if you want to discuss ideas, I'd love to know, for example, I'd love to know what different councils are doing. Are you involved in a campaign that has been successful and, locally is very well known, and you want to pass on them ideas and inspirations to other councils? Then yes. And with parish councils in particular, in Solihull, for example, we were the first to bring a charter in that allowed parish councils to work similarly to borough councils. So when residents come in, like I deal with a lot of housing. So housing is something I believe that should be really affordable. Not affordable housing, really affordable housing. To have adequate housing and to have a housing that is fit for purpose. I have seen where the council have let down residents by not tackling health and safety in homes. So mould, for example. And when residents used to come to me when I first was co-opted onto the council, I couldn't do much but get in touch with a borough councillor. But now, for the last 3 years, I have been able to do that. And that shows about that real change. So someone can come to me about parks. So a lot come to me about football matches being played on parks, nobody picking up their litter after the usage of the parks. Anybody's welcome to it. But pick up your mess afterwards. And it's having that chat with the teams and saying, can you please make sure your players do that? Even if you are able to, after the match, stay for half an hour and just do a litter pick. Do something for your community. Bring back something for the community. And that has been successful, and that more needs to be done of that. It is up to us to how we want to see the party. And it starts by doing things local. To pass on that national message locally, it starts locally. So I would like to leave it there. but please do get in touch. It's been an absolute privilege to speak to yourselves today. Take care and stay safe.